Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
In this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to talk about Sausage Party, the animated film from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, and a whole slew of just that whole comedy group, that whole Apatow camp, right, Matt? Everybody's here to deliver possibly the filthiest animated film of at least the last 10 years, if not ever. So we'll talk about that. We're going to show you what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. We may start a marathon, our straight to DVD picks. We're going to actually revisit some of these films that we've nominated. I think what we should do, Matt, is talk about the first one first and really decide if we want to move forward.
That might be the smart idea.
I'm going to present the nominees that Matt can choose if we decide to eventually to continue. But the first film we'll discuss will be Zoombies. And then, of course, in typical first-run fashion, always on the cutting edge, we're going to tell you what we think the 5 best films of 2016 are so far, but using June 30th as our cutoff. Since it's the end of August, we thought it was the perfect time to do that.
Everybody else does it in June. I mean, we're giving ourselves a little time to marinate on this stuff. You know?
And the worst part is there's like 2 or 3 films, Matt, that I haven't seen yet, that I'm desperate to, that I think would eventually actually be in that list. So my list is even further ridiculous. Anyway, let's start everything off, and let's hear a clip from Sausage Party.
Attention shoppers.
Set them straight, boys! Full disclosure, I've never been in a bun before.
Hey, I'm not going to be any better. I mean, look how tight I am.
I can't wait to finally just get up in there. Just raw dog it.
All food wants is to come home with us.
Oh, feels amazing.
But nothing can prepare them
Potato! Way to go, buddy!
for how we prepare them.
Oh, gummy skin!
They killed him.
Did he suffer?
No, oh yeah, he did.
I gotta tell everyone. We'll die otherwise. I'm gonna fix you. Together, we can fight these monsters. Ow. Right in my guacamole ball.
All right, Matt. Now, I'm still digesting this film, so I want you to relay to everybody, what is Sausage Party about? Give us a little brief synopsis.
Okay.
And here's your challenge. Since kids should not watch this movie, I'd like you to describe it for a kid. Go ahead.
Describe it for a kid. Okay. So there's food that lives in the grocery store, and it is sentient. And because food is bought by people, they're all very excited to be bought by people and go to the great beyond, which is like their afterlife. And then our main characters, they get bought, and they discover that the great beyond or the afterlife is not really what they thought it would be. And existential crises, which if I was explaining to a 5-year-old would know exactly what that means, ensues.
Yeah, and so we have our stars are the Sausage, our Frank, which is played by Seth Rogen, and then Brenda Bunsen, who's the hot dog bun, portrayed by voiced by Kristen Wiig. She's Frank's girlfriend. And Matt, basically, it's when a sausage loves a hot dog bun very, very much. Listen, this film I thought there was a lot of really fun interpretations, right, of the personalities and, dare I say, stereotypes they've applied to all the foods. And this is no holds barred, Matt. I mean, they criticize or critique, or however you want to describe it, everything. Now, some of it's kind of obvious, I think, right? Edward Norton is Sammy Bagel Jr. You can figure out where you want to go with that one. But it's not lazy. I never felt at any point any of that stuff was lazy. I thought it was really smart. I thought that I don't know. I just thought it was interesting the way they embraced the stereotypes of the foods and didn't really shy away from them. So I thought that was interesting. They really kind of just elevate how ridiculous all these things are. I think the thing that comes to mind for me most is Nick Kroll, who really expands his. If you're familiar with his Bobby Bottle Service character, this is really just that on steroids as the douche. So, and then that's what's great because he's a live douche, and he also then is able to expand what the slang version of douche is. So it's that kind of stuff is what Matt is what we're dealing with. So we always have the basic question with comedies, Matt. Did it make you laugh? How funny was it for you?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, I think it's like you said, it's very no holds barred. A lot of it's really vulgar, and I guess if you have to kind of have that bent for that sort of humor, which for the most part I do. I think the jokes hit more often than they didn't, in my opinion.
Here's the thing I was figured out when I walked out of the theater. For me, it was amusing but not hilarious. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was only a few times where I laughed out loud, particularly the ending. I was not quite hysterical, but it's just how far that they end up going. Now I'd heard what this was going to be basically at the ending, but it still didn't prepare me for how crazy it actually is. So, and I want to point out too, this is not a kid's film. All right. It's filthy, but I still felt it was really smart. I thought it handled the stereotypes well, but it's also a larger attack, I think, on politics and religion. That I don't know, but let me ask you that. How successful do you think it is in its critiques of those things? I would say even specifically more organized religion than politics, though there is a little bit of that.
I mean, obviously it has the entire message in it. I guess I wouldn't say it's as sharp necessarily as some of kind of the other filthy satires, like the things that the guys from South Park create, or I don't think it's on that same kind of level of some of those things. But they had a point to make, and they obviously made it in the sense of you could get what they were saying, and they had some insight, but I don't think the satire was particularly sharp. I think because they were so busy telling the raunchy jokes.
They did kind of get distracted by that. I think fine, which is fine with me. I guess I wasn't going into this looking for some sharp political allegory or so. That's fine. Was there for me? Yes. Did it work for me? Yeah, that was fine. I appreciated what they're trying to say. I don't think it was a dumb. I don't think it was a swing and a miss. I just think, like you said, the balancing between the raunchiness and the filthiness of the film compared to how clever and smart it wanted to be, it probably was 70-30 with the raunchy joke stuff than it was the intellectual critique, which is fine.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an animated film. No, that's very true, man. I haven't watched that in a long time. I should probably check that out again too. So, man, I don't know. I think what started out right is them mocking Pixar, right? Because the whole thing about Pixar is the secret real life of all these. I don't know. Insert your noun. Right. So I think that's where this kind of seed germinated, and from there, I think for me, I thought the film overall was pretty successful. Now, where I'm not sure is that it starts off, I think, as an adventure, satirical comedy type thing that turns into a grocery store Caligula. And how did that work for you? That ending with this massive celebratory orgy of all the foods. I mean, they do a reasonably interesting job of telegraphing the debauchery you're about to see by how sexual Salma Hayek's taco character is.
Yeah.
But I'm not even quite sure how to word the question. Just what were your general thoughts about that interesting ending?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny, but I mean, again, it was kind of one of these things where they were just trying to, literally, I just envision Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg and whoever else wrote the movie, sitting around stoned off their asses and just trying to one-up each other on the grossest thing they could come up with and throwing it towards the end of the movie. That's really all it was. And it was amusing, like you said. It was kind of ballsy to watch something like that on the screen, but I don't know if it's breaking any new ground, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. It's one of those things when you watch it, because there's always this thing where there's so much more you can get away with in animated films.
Right.
Like Family Guy for me is a perfect example. If they did half the stuff they do in that they've done that show over the years in a live action sitcom, it'd never see the airing. You'd never see it on TV.
Right.
But for some reason, animated is allowed to get away with all that stuff. I mean, that's some really disturbing stuff that happens at the end of that film. stuff that I probably wasn't even sure existed. I don't know. So
now you know, it's opened your eyes, huh?
there's a whole world out there that I may now have to explore. But no, it's I don't know. So overall, Matt, what would do you feel you need to run out to the theaters and see Sausage Party? Are there any other thoughts that you want to relay? There's a. How did you feel about Gum? The Gum thing for me is probably also one of the stronger gags that made me laugh out loud. I don't know how horrible a person that makes me. But.
Well, I think everybody who's ever listened to this show knows what a horrible person you are. It's at this point.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Oh, I heard Chris's feelings. No, it's. I wouldn't say you have to go out and see this in the theater. Check it out, and when it comes out on home video, I'd probably give it a B-. It's fine. It's fun. But I don't think it's something that's gonna, it'll probably gain some cult following, and I'll be completely wrong. And this will be like the defining movie of a generation or something. But for me, it was just all right.
Yeah, I'm on board with you with the B- as well. I don't know if you need to run out to the theaters. I think you should check it out. I think there's enough interesting ideas in here that it's worth your time. And there's enough jokes that land. For me, again, I felt it was more amusing than funny than hilarious, but still solid. And I really did. I enjoyed my time in the theater. They set up a sequel. What do you think of that final reveal too? The twist ending where they tell everybody basically that they are in an animated movie,
right?
That everything is, and then it gives them the film ends with them passing through some portal that allows him to come to reality to confront Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg and everybody. Do you think we're actually going to see that sequel? Is that going to happen? Because listen, it's made what are we sitting at? About 60 million so far, roughly.
Yeah. I thought it was almost 80 at this point.
Okay.
So it's done well out of a $19 million budget. I guess it's possible we could. I think it's improbable that we'll see a sequel because I don't really know. Unless they do some kind of Roger Rabbit thing, I have no idea. That I might actually be really interested to see just because of the people involved with this. But I don't know. I would say it's probably got like a 50-50 shot that it even makes they make a sequel for this.
Mm-hmm. And there's when I clarified too, when I was doing the math on that, cost 19 to make, sitting at about 78 million, so it made about 60. Of course, it doesn't include advertising costs. And then there's the controversy. If you're not familiar, right. Supposedly, a bunch of the animators, I guess there was 83 of them, and 36 of them were blacklisted because they refused to work without pay,
right.
Work overtime without pay. I guess as they were trying to get this thing done, they directed them, supposedly the director, Greg Tiernan, to direct them to work without pay for overtime. And if they didn't do it or if they complained about it, they got blacklisted. Now, I don't know if anything's going to come out of this. If this is true, this is horrible. And I can't see Rogen and crew allowing something like that to happen. That one really, I can't really wrap my head around.
Right. I guess I doubt they knew. I guess it was probably just the pressures of trying to get this thing out there on time. I think even when they aired this at one of the film festivals, it was still a rough cut. Like there were still like animatic sequences and just stills where they hadn't completed scenes. So I'm sure Homeboy, not that it was the right thing to do, but was feeling quite a bit of pressure to get this thing out there.
Yeah, well, interesting. I don't know. We'll see if that ends up turning into anything. And Matt, thanks for working in the term homeboy.
I like to slip it in at least once a day into some random conversation. So I'm glad I filled my quota.
Street.
Yeah.
Nicely done. If I hadn't been paying attention, I might not even have noticed. Nicely done. So if you got a chance to see Sausage Party, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, let's transition and tell you what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday, August 30th. Disney's live-action interpretations of their classic animated films continues with The Jungle Book. Includes audio commentaries and behind-the-scenes featurettes as well. Me Before You, the latest film that actually features Khaleesi, but in a non-Khaleesi role, Emilia Clarke. And she plays a small-town girl who starts caring for a recently paralyzed man, and they form an unlikely bond. So that's going to be there. Includes outtakes and deleted scenes. The Night Manager, the BBC show that aired, I believe, here on AMC, starring Tom Hiddleston and Hugh Laurie. So what happens is John Pine, who's played by Hiddleston, is recruited as an intelligence operative. He's tasked to navigate Whitehall in D.C., where there is an alliance between the intelligence community and the secret arms trade. He must infiltrate the inner circle of arms dealer Richard Onslow Roper. That's Hugh Laurie. So I think it's supposed to be a John Le Carre thing as well, I believe.
Okay.
So that's a BBC show getting its Blu-ray release here. All 6 unrated episodes. Arrow season 4 is being released, and this time, unlike last season, they're actually going to include the crossover episode. They'll be doing the same with the Flash. So, because previously, when they had the 2 shows crossed over, they didn't include that episode in the others set.
Right.
But thankfully, they're doing that at least hopefully going forward, which I think is the right thing to do. Star Wars Rebels season 2 is getting its Blu-ray release as well. Criterion is giving us a pair of Orson Welles films. First, The Immortal Story, which is a new 4K digital restoration. The other film, I should say, is getting a 4K restoration as well. This is his first color film and his final completed fictional feature. And then Chimes at Midnight is coming out as well. Considered the crowning achievement of his film career by some, Chimes at Midnight was the culmination of the filmmaker's lifelong obsession with Shakespeare's character, Sir John Falstaff. So you can pick those up. It's a big week for the Orson Welles fans and Criterion people. The Commitments, 25 years, Matt. The Blu-ray release of Commitments is coming out. A very young Glenn Hansard, which you may know from Once, The Frames, one of my favorite musicians, has a role in that film as well. Vinegar Syndrome, I believe, is giving us 2 films this week as well. Evils of the Night, which is a bunch of geriatric aliens prey on some sex-obsessed teens and drink all their blood so they can live forever. What's interesting, though, is 2 of those aliens, one is John Carradine, the other one is Julie Newmar. Wow. Matt, according to the write-up, it's filled with ample nudity and moments of splattery gore, and supporting cast including Amber Lynn and Aldo Ray. So it's a classic mid-'80s sleaze, unlike anything else out there, and Vinegar Syndrome is indeed pleased to release Evils of the Night. They're also giving us Disco Godfather. If you're not familiar with Rudy Ray Moore, he is the classic Dolomite character. I have that Blu-ray, which came out a few months ago, and they're continuing the blaxploitation releases with Disco Godfather for Rudy Ray Moore. So you can pick that one up again from Vinegar Syndrome. Matt, what else is coming up that I'm excited to tell you about? Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about the streaming pick of the week. We were trying to find a new show, Matt, to watch around here because it's the doldrums. In the next few weeks, shows start to come back. So finally we get some new stuff. But the missus and I picked up and started watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Have you seen that show?
I have not seen it, but I have heard good things.
We're 3 episodes in, and I love it.
Okay.
If you're not familiar with the concept, this woman who is just she met this guy in summer camp when she was like, I think 13, 14, 12, 14, I don't remember. But and she absolutely loved this guy, but at the end of summer camp, he dumps her. But she's always, kind of loved him, hence the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So they run into each other, and now she's a high-powered lawyer in New York City, and they run into each other, and there's kind of there's still a connection there you can see between the 2 of them. But he's moving back to California. Where is he moving? This is embarrassing because they make a whole thing out of it. To this small town in California. And she decides to drop everything to move out there and try to get him back. But what's really interesting, it's very clever. It's very funny. They have musical numbers, Matt, that are a part of the show. It's just an interesting, different show. It's not like anything really out there right now. And I think it's absolutely hilarious. It's one of the few shows that I watch that makes me laugh out loud. So I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to see where this show goes. I want to see if we can run through all the episodes before season 2 starts. We'll see what happens.
I'll check it out.
So do you have any streaming? Yeah, do you have any streaming picks you've been seeing lately?
Have we talked about Stranger Things? Have we talked about this?
I think a little bit. I haven't watched that yet. I tried to get the missus to watch that, but that's just not something she's interested in.
Okay, well, I would say this again. I started off, I guess, before we were on air. Never listen to my advice as far as trying to talk your wife into doing, any kind of stuff like this. But I will say my wife loved it, and so does my sister-in-law. So you may be able to just tweak it in there. Just give it a watch. The first one. It's a good one. But basically, go ahead.
The problem, hold on. But the problem I have, Matt, is Jen does not like scary things. And from what I understand, there are some scares in this. Is there any violence in it as well?
Yeah, there's some.
That might be a rough sell. All right, continue. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, this is a story by guys named the Duffer Brothers. They basically have created this homage to some of their favorites 80s films. Like, it's got touches of The Goonies in it, The Thing, It's really just about these 4 kids living in this 80s small town in, the middle America, and they're of various different socioeconomic backgrounds, but they're all friends. One of them disappears, and basically the rest of the story is about them trying to find this kid, and it's basically escalating supernatural occurrences where they come in contact with a little girl who has special powers that's somehow tied to their friend's disappearance. It's really, really good. It's got a lot of good period pieces aspects to it. Winona Ryder's great in it, so yeah, I would definitely check it out.
I knew I need to see that at some point. Yeah.
It's fast too. I think it's only like episodes. It's only 8 episodes, so it's not a ton.
Okay, but it's everything. Every place I go, it's this big viral thing. Everybody's talking about it. So yeah, I have to pick that up. All right, man, let's.
Guys, Chris.
I know. As I get older, I get further and further away from it. So straight to DVD pick of the week, and then we'll expand this a little bit. All right. Now, we try not to get very political here, but there is something about this write-up that I absolutely adored. So it's called The Hillary Clinton, the Sun Goddess Unleashed. When Hillary Clinton wore that full-length white pantsuit on the night she accepted the Democratic Party nomination for president, she was reaching back into time nearly 4,000 years to symbolically declare that she was the sun goddess in the Zoroastrian tradition, exactly the symbolism of the Roman Catholic Pope uses nearly every day to declare that he is the sun god. She was declaring that she is transcending politics in this present time because she was spiritually transformed into a goddess. We explore this white outfit phenomenon from the occult world, and by looking back at other facts in her life and career, we prove that Hillary is a high-level Illuminati witch, and that she is posed to complete the co-presidency that Bill Clinton promised in 1993. It goes on from there, but that's my favorite part, is that she's an Illuminati witch.
Of course. This is a documentary.
Clearly. She's claiming her role as the Zoroastrian sun goddess.
That's right. Well, can't be just the Pope,
It had nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with the suffragette movement when they would protest, they all wore white. Nothing to do with the women vote. No. It was her claiming her rightful role as the Illuminati witch sun goddess of the Zoroastrian religion.
Well, your eyes have been opened. Wake up, sheeple.
And I look more and more at that Gary Johnson guy, I think. All right. So, Matt, let's talk about it. Here are your options. You want to do the options now, or do you want to do Zoombies first? What would you like to do?
Maybe we should do Zoombies first so people can understand where we're coming from with this, about how what we're going to do for the next one.
All right. Well, all right. Let's go ahead and let's hear a clip. Yes, there actually is a clip from Zoombies.
Welcome to your first day of your zoology college internship at the Eden Wildlife Zoo.
Rex sent me out to check an alarm at the vet clinic.
Anything I should be concerned about?
These are the last 2. What about the others?
She's going into cardiac arrest.
Her heart stopped.
This is security. Is anyone there?
On our way.
It's the animals that need protection from the people, not the other way around.
Your boss said no weapons.
Where are the monkeys?
Get out of there now.
They're headed to the aviary. If this virus infects just one of those birds and it flies out of them.
Something crazy is infecting this whole zoo.
They want to get rid of us.
Seek immediate shelter in a secure and locked facility.
We're gonna have to kill them.
And getting us out of here alive.
Mr. Koala?
So that's that. Matt, Zoombies it bills itself as Jurassic World of the Dead. No kidding. Could you be any more on the nose of what you're trying to do in that write-up? The whole point of the Straight to DVD Picks of the Week, Matt, is we want to try and find these low-budget but possibly fun and entertaining movies.
Right.
So we feature them in this segment of the show, but we never really watch them. We did once with was was it Bad Habits? Was that the name of the one about the killer sperm? Do you remember that one back in the day?
I must have blocked that one. I remember watching Birdemic. I don't remember watching. I don't remember watching Bad Habits.
I think that's the name of it. Something to that effect.
Okay.
This is back in the archives.
Oh wait, no, this
was
was
a rough one.
It wasn't a killer sperm. His dick. It was a killer dick, right? It could detach from his body and go eat people.
Yes, that's what it was. You're right. Yeah. No, that. I mean, medically that makes sense.
It does. Well, happens every day.
That's right. So every time we dip our toe in this lake, you know, we've lose that toe. So, but we thought it might be fun to do a few of these. And this thing, Matt, I'm sorry, is just, this may have been a horrible mistake. This is an Asylum film. If you're not familiar with Asylum, they're a production company that they take popular concepts and movies that are out there, and then they do kind of this low budget, ultra violent with some occasional nudity thrown in. I shouldn't say ultra violent. It's not really ultra violent at all. It's but they just kind of up the gore, up stuff like that. It's just knockoff stuff. It's basically what they do.
Right.
It's Matt. This though, let me tell you, some really truly brutal writing in this film. The direction actually I thought was okay. Yeah. But I think considering what they're working with, and I got to tell you, I think the whole cast is dedicated. Right. Everybody's in.
They're sold.
They may not have the talent, to give us a good finished product, but they're dedicated. They're all in. So at least I appreciated that. I think for me is just how lazy and cheap this film is at times. Now, granted, it's an Asylum film, so what should you expect? I'm telling you, man, when that Asylum logo popped up at the beginning of the movie, there was a deep sigh that emanated from me.
What are you deep within your soul?
Exactly. But I mean, it's like criticizing water for being wet. What can you really say about this stuff? I think for me, the most offensive stuff is the special effects.
Yeah.
I was trying to think what was worse, though. I think it was the special effects itself, or was it the gorilla costume? So there's this one character, I guess, I don't know what else to call it, where it's supposed to be like Coco, this almost sentient kind of, not that they're not sentient, but this advanced ape gorilla who is able to communicate through sign language, and he's supposed to be super smart, and he's very protective of the young girl who's the daughter of the person who runs the park. And they do, what's interesting is they do digital like effects versions of the gorilla, Matt, and then there are times they actually have a guy in a costume.
I was going back. Notice it was so seamless.
Oh,
I noticed.
Kifo, it's the name of it, right?
Yes.
But I was trying to decide what was more just upsetting for me: how bad the effects were for Kifo, or how just sad the costume was for Kifo. I'm not sure. No, what I landed on the most offensive thing about this was, I think it's the zip line. The special effects zip line scene is one of the greatest horrible effects I have ever seen in my entire life. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I'm being too harsh, Matt. Maybe you had a different interpretation of Zoombies. What did you think?
No, you're about spot on this stuff. I mean, it's what you're getting into when you watch these things. It's going to have terrible story. The acting is going to be very bad. The effects are going to be extremely chintzy. I mean, at this point, I was watching this. These CGI animals, like there might be a close second when they're riding those CGI elephants down the zip line. I think that might be a very close second, and I think third would be when the zombie giraffes eat that guy out of the tree for some reason.
It's my new favorite zombie animal is the zombie giraffe.
Zombie giraffes, yes.
That was my favorite one. If I had to choose any of my favorite zombie animals, the elephants are good, but the giraffe is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, the giraffe was an inspired touch there. Too bad they couldn't pull it off. But I mean, that's the point. I mean, you can watch a show on sci-fi that is just like the cheesy sci-fi shows that would be like a Babylon 5 like 20 years ago, and the effects on those shows are better than what these could actually pull off. And it's you just kind of got to know going into it. I mean, do I think it's a hidden gem of camp or anything like that. It's not at all. It was brutally painful. I think about halfway through, I was basically looking at my phone more than I was paying attention to the movie. I just kind of had it watching it out of one eye, and then I'd be like, zombie giraffes, So, although I think the zip line that was pretty inspired. Just I think everything about that was fantastic. So
I could see too the meetings at Asylum. They're like, listen, Jim, we got this new technology. There's a brand new program we can get really cheap, but it'll make all of our graphics and special effects, bring them up kind of the current century. And I think they're like, nah, I think we're good with what we got. I mean, because I think that's the Asylum thing. That's what they do.
Right.
From what I understand too, they're the production company though behind that Z. What is it? That show that's on Sci-Fi that's actually supposed to be reasonably entertaining.
World War Z?
Not World War Z.
Z Nation.
Z Nation. They're behind that. I watched the first 4 episodes of that. There was not enough in it to keep me involved. I don't know if you caught that at all, but that's supposed to be at least reasonably entertaining.
Yeah, from what I understand, I did watch the first few episodes, and I was with you. I wasn't really impressed with it, but I guess as the seasons have gone on, it's gone more and more and more off the rails, and it's just insane. So I think that's really what people are talking about.
All right. Either way, all right. So I'm surprised you didn't really. I thought you would really jump into this one with both feet. That you'd.
Why would you think that? You have a bigger affection for cheesy, campy movies than I do.
I do. That's true. No, Yeah, we're trying to find that gem, right? That one film that's that
diamond in the rough, that thing. Yes,
the dangerous men, the samurai cop. Just the film that's so bad that it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, that is not Zoombies.
You can cross this one off the list.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know if we want to jump into talk about. All right, let's just say. All right, so Matt, for Zoombies. I think I got to go. I don't know. Do I want to give it an F? I feel like I don't want to be cruel, but
I'm going to give it a D- just for the zip line and the zombie giraffes.
All right. I think that's fair. I can do that. I can agree with you on that one. All right. So that's Zoombies. If you had a chance to see Zoombies, re-examine your life. But shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, let's talk about it. Let's get the big question away. Should we continue with this?
I think we should give it at least 1 or 2 more goes.
Okay.
I think we should give it. I think we should just. I think we should tough it out and do a couple more and see what happens.
All right. So here's the ones that I found that were readily available for us to watch. Okay. All right. Because here's part of it, and maybe we're cheating a little bit, but we're going to make almost no effort to track these things down. Too much time just compiling a list. So one thing I thought would be fun to do, but I think the issue is you have to have the channel. My cable company is kind enough that I actually get to watch channels online on my laptop that I don't actually subscribe to.
Oh, nice.
Now it doesn't include HBO and stuff, but the larger packages are available. Okay. So one of the things I was thinking about doing from the Hallmark Mystery Channel is Murder, She Baked, which is coming. It's going to be airing on the 31st and the 9th of September. 31st of August and the 9th of September. But the problem is there's no on-demand option for that.
Okay.
Here's a few on Netflix, Matt. Kindergarten Cop 2 with Dolph Lundgren.
Okay.
#Horror is on Netflix. Okay. Unleashed, a dog dancing story. It's a documentary, I think from Canada, about a bunch of people who dedicate their lives to participating in contests where dogs dance.
Okay.
It's a documentary, so I'm not as up on that one. After Midnight or Naked After Midnight, depending. But the key thing about that is that it stars Richard Grieco.
Oh.
Paranormal Whacktivity, which is supposedly a sexed-up version of Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
Three-Headed Shark Attack. And then Cowboys vs. Dinosaurs. All of these are on Netflix.
Okay.
There's a couple that you can stream on YouTube. I'm not sure if these are legitimate streams on YouTube, but they are currently there. Bigfoot vs. Zombies.
Okay.
And then Frankenstein vs. the Mummy.
Okay.
So I think, Matt, those are what your options. Let's pick. Right. Want to pick 2 or 3? What do you think?
Yeah. Let's pick 2 or 3. All right. You go first. What do you got there? What are you feeling? I know you want to watch Murder, She Baked, but that may be off the table if I can't find it.
It might. Yeah. I don't think it'll work out. I think straight to DVD. I think we have to go with Kindergarten Cop 2. I think it has to be in there.
Okay, That's fantastic. All right, so I agree with this. We'll go with Kindergarten Cop 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to need some kind of softcore horror thing. So I don't know which one of those. Naked After Dark and After Dark. Are those the different movies?
No. It's because it's online. It's known as After Midnight, Matt.
Oh, okay.
But on Netflix, it's called Naked After Midnight. But it's the same film.
Oh, okay. Is it a horror movie?
I think it's a thriller, like a Dress to Kill type thing. What happened? Oh, I think if I remember correctly, it's a stripper gets killed and her sister decides to look into what happened, and it's supposed to be like a slasher thriller thing. I think we should do that because it's got Rico in it. I think Rico is the seller.
Okay. It'll probably bring back a lot of memories of late night Cinemax when I was 11 years old, sneaking downstairs.
So then, if you want to grab one more, we have #horror. We have Paranormal Activity, Three-Headed Shark Attack, and Cowboys vs. Dinosaurs, I think. I'm staying away from the YouTube ones because I don't know how legit those are and how long those stay up.
Right. I would say either #horror or Three-Headed Shark Attack. Which, do you have a preference?
I don't. I think three-headed shark attack would probably be the way to go if we're really going to embrace this.
Yeah.
#horror may actually be good. I don't know. I doubt it. All right. Well, let's start with Kindergarten Cop 2, I think, for next week. How does it sound to you?
Sounds perfect.
All right. We'll do that for next week. Follow along with us as well if you'd like. So right now we're going to start with Kindergarten Cop 2, then Naked After Midnight, and then possibly either Three-Headed Shark Attack or #horror leaning towards Three-Headed Shark Attack. We'll see. All right. Ooh, I don't know about this. All right. We'll find out.
It could be fun. I mean, Dolph has a high bar to reach for Kindergarten Cop 2. That's got some classic lines in it.
It certainly does. Oh, yeah. Is Sinbad in this one? I don't know if Sinbad's in that. I feel like he would be.
Yeah, I feel like we could take a pretty good bet that he's going to be in that in the film, because I don't think Sinbad is extremely busy these days.
All right, Matt. So let's take a break. Let's come back and let's finally get into what we think the best films of 2016 are so far as of June 30th.
Right.
We'll be back.
How about our other recruit?
He's raring to go. Had to put a little coffee in him, but he should be good.
What time zone is this?
Come on. Come on.
Captain America.
Mr. Lang?
It's an honor.
I'm shaking your hand too long. Wow, this is awesome.
Captain America. I know you too. You're great.
Jeez. Look, I want to say, I know you know a lot of super people, so thanks for thanking of me. Hey, man.
What's up, Tic Tac?
Good to see you. Look, what happened last time?
It was a great audition, but it'll never happen again.
They tell you what we're up against?
Something about some psycho assassins?
We're outside the law on this one. So if you come with us, you're a wanted man.
Yeah, well, what else is new?
Matt, you would be pleased to know that Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice did not make my top 5 films of 2016 through June 30th. So
I'm pleased to know that, and if you had, I might have had to revoke. I might have had to just cancel this podcast. I mean, I might have just been over at that point. I mean, there's not a huge amount of films to choose from, but you can still come up with a good solid 5.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too, I want to point out ahead of time. Here are 4 films that came out before June 30th, I believe, at least 3 of the 4 that I haven't seen that I'm desperate to. One is The Invitation, which is currently on Netflix. I have no excuse for not watching that yet. Here's what kills me. Last night, these next 2, Zootopia and Sing Street, are 2 films I really want to see, and I haven't seen it. I had an opportunity to watch them last night. My wife and I are at my mother-in-law's. My mother-in-law makes a fantastic dinner for us, possibly one of the greatest cooks I've ever had in my entire life. But so we're going. I'm pushing for Zootopia or Sing Street. I think both these films are supposed to. They have exceptionally high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. I think the ladies will enjoy both of them. But no, the wife loves Melissa McCarthy, so we watch The Boss. I plead with her. No Melissa McCarthy movies that involve her husband, because that's the no-go.
Right.
But we end up watching The Boss.
So I guess we know who's the boss
And
in this
it's
house. Heyo!
clearly. And thankfully I did get an apology this morning. So, but the issue being I haven't seen any of those films. And finally, the documentary Wiener is supposed to be fantastic. So,
is that about Anthony Weiner?
Anthony Weiner when he tried to run for the mayor of New York City.
Okay.
After everything that had happened.
Gotcha.
So those are the 4, Matt, that I'm upset that I have not yet seen. So they will not be included in my top 5. Do you have anything that you didn't get a chance to see yet that you think may have impacted the list?
Nothing that I could think of off the top of my head when I was going through the list of. I didn't write that down. So nothing. I got nothing for that. Sorry. I wasn't
Fair
thinking
enough.
that way.
All right. So that's all right. So you go first. So I get the ultimate number 1 because that'll make me cooler.
Yeah.
So what's your number 5?
All right, so my number 5 is Midnight Special, starring Michael Shannon, who's the always super intense Michael Shannon, which we're big fans of on this show. It's essentially about a young boy who has strange and special powers, and he's being pursued by government agents, and Michael Shannon is his father trying to get him off to safety. It's a cool little kind of 80s throwback sci-fi film. It's got some cool visuals. It's got, a nice kind of heart to it. I guess we're getting a lot of sci-fi 80s throwbacks lately, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty good film.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the director, Jeff Nichols' previous film, Mud. Also Take Shelter, which he did with Michael Shannon, is a really interesting, good film. Midnight Special was solid. It was good. It is outside of my top 5. I didn't think the last act of that film held up for how fun the beginning, first 2/3 are. So, but yeah, no, that's a solid pick. For me, my number 5, Matt, thankfully came out I think on June 25th, just in the window. So, and that's Swiss Army Man.
Okay.
Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe, who for me finally has really just abandoned the Harry Potter persona. He's no longer typecast for me as Potter. And I really want to see that new film he's in where he plays the undercover cop who goes into the white nationalist movement thing that's currently on for rent for iTunes. So I may have to check that out. But Swiss Army Man, so Paul Dano is shipwrecked maybe and struggling to survive, and he's all alone. And then the corpse of Daniel Radcliffe shows up on the island, and we discover that his body, he's dead, but maybe not quite dead, and he has these abilities that allow him to use him to survive, or he can generate fresh water and shoot grappling hook type things out of his rear and do lots of different things as the two of them struggle to make it back to civilization. And you don't know how much of this stuff is going on in Dano's head and how much of it is real. But I think it's a really interesting film. And it's one of those movies that just kind of kept me, I was just enraptured by the whole thing from the beginning, because you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what's really going to happen. So, it's really interesting. It's one of my favorite films of the year. Obviously, it's my number 5 so far.
All right. I forgot about Swiss Army Man. I guess the list I was looking at on Wikipedia, I must have just scanned right over it. So I don't know if it would make my list, but I guess I'm gonna put it in my honorable mentions.
Okay.
All right. So number 4 for me was I think the movie we both enjoyed quite a bit was 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think the first 3/4 of that film are just expertly crafted suspense. Love John Goodman, and I thought all the 3 principals were a lot of fun to watch. Kind of loses it a little bit for me when the big twist reveal comes out at the end and things kind of change a little bit, but I think it's for those first 3/4 of the film, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, what I like about that too is that the way that film plays on your expectations is that everything that you don't see any of it really coming, but everything you expect to happen happens. Mm-hmm. Like it takes all that stuff, all these twists and stuff. Oh, this is probably what's going to happen, but then it subverts that. What you expect? What do you think it's going to be? So I thought it was very successful on that. Again, didn't crack my list, Matt. Honorable mention for me, but right outside. So no, my number 4. I think it's Robert Eggers' is The Witch, right, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, Katie Dickey. But it's set in 17th century New England, and this man and his family have been banished from their Puritan plantation. And lots of weird things are going on, Matt. And the baby, the little infant of the family, disappears one day. And these weird supernatural forces, maybe something's going on, maybe not. Is there a witch? What's going on with that goat? I don't know. It's just some crazy asses dropping in this little place that they end up settling in. And it's one of the creepier, disturbing films I've seen in a while. Just the atmosphere of it is really what makes it work, right? So, yeah, I think it's, am I right, Matt, to park this for a little bit? I think
Yeah. It's gonna show back up later.
But that's it. So that's my number 4 is The Witch. So go ahead. What do you got?
All right. So number 3, this is my one concession to the big summer blockbuster, but it's Captain America: Civil War. It gave me everything I wanted out of this Marvel movie. The characters are fun. The new characters that they introduced in Black Panther and especially Spider-Man. I'm a huge Spider-Man nerd. It was just a lot of fun. It's really everything I wanted, kind of one of these big superhero spectacle battle things to be. It's really how it should be done. Sorry, some other film that we've talked about.
How dare you?
And it just continues Marvel's winning streak. Do I think it's the best Marvel film? No. But it's definitely the most fun I've had of any of the big summer movies this year.
So they said that I guess they announced just the last couple of days that Steve Rogers will not be Captain America.
Oh, really?
Going forward, at least in Infinity War. I guess after the events of Civil War, he steps down.
Okay.
As Captain America, which I think is an interesting move. I don't know if it's going to be Bucky that takes over. I doubt that. It may be more Falcon, right? I mean, but depending on what version that they decide to go with, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, didn't make my. That's interesting. I don't have a big budget film in my top 5 so far. I enjoyed Captain America: Civil War, but it didn't quite crack the list for me, Matt. In fact, my number 3. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm going Neon Demon. I would not my number 1. I think you maybe because I'm still. I feel like I need to see this again.
Right.
I don't know how successful this film is, but I know it. Out of everything we've seen this year, it's the one that stuck to my guts the most. It's the gravy of the cinematic universe for me right now for this year. It's if you're not familiar with the Neon Demon, you can go back and listen to the show. But Elle Fanning plays a young, inspiring model. She goes to L.A. She hooks up with Ruby, played by Jenna Malone, and they introduce some other models. And it's Elle Fanning as she kind of maneuvers her way through the LA modeling world and all the weird, horrible stuff, and helps. It's Refn's kind of indictment on our obsession with appearance and looks and everything, but it's also really disturbing at times. But some absolutely gorgeous imagery and a fantastic score from Cliff Martinez. I don't know. It's really I've always kind of described Refn's last, especially like Only God Forgives for me was like a Dario Argento fever dream come to life. Neon Demon is kind of similar in that way, but going even further, a little even more abstract, but still a stunning film. It's my number 3.
Yeah, didn't make my list. It was in my honorable mentions. I think the reason it's in my honorable mentions is I'm with you. I want to see it again. I get the feeling. This is one of those films, like, I don't know if I like it, but I'm with you in the sense that there's very few movies that I've seen this year where I can recall so many of the scenes and images very vividly when I think back on it, And it's one of those films I kind of want everybody to see just so I can get everybody's opinion on it. It's definitely something I want to see again to see if it's before I really pass judgment on it.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, what do you got?
So my number 2 is The Witch. In addition to everything Chris said, I mean, the performances in this film are fantastic. I mean, they really set the mood. And I forget. I apologize. I should know this, but who the writer director was. But he took a lot of that. Robert Eggers. Thank you. He took like actual like diary entries from that time period and put them into the dialogue, and some of that stuff, knowing that it was real, like the ranting that the younger brother does when he's possessed, right? As everything's kind of culminating. That was like straight out of some guy's diary. So that is just creepy in and of itself that somebody's talking about, kissing Jesus' lips and calling him my love and stuff like that. It was just very strange. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. It's a really creepy film. It's really wonderfully shot. Yeah, I think it's a very excellent movie.
Yeah, it really is authentic too in the way. I mean, the language is stylized to fit the period, and it's just one of the most disturbing, atmospheric kind of films. You really feel in there and that you're trapped with this family as everything's going horribly awry. My number 2, I think I'm doing it to you again, Matt. I think I'm doing Jeremy Saltner's The Green Room.
That is my number 1, so we can go ahead and talk about it now.
Okay. So Anton Yelchin, who we unfortunately recently lost. He plays. He's part of a punk band, and they're desperate, Matt, because they're just getting by. I mean, they're siphoning gas from people's cars, right? I mean, they're desperate just to get a payday. So they take a job to perform at a neo-Nazi rally.
Right.
And after the show, they're going back to the green room to collect their stuff, and they walk in, and in the green room, a woman is being murdered, and everything just really goes to S from there. Yelchin is fantastic in this, but I think for me the real selling point, right, is Patrick Stewart as the head neo-Nazi guy, who is absolutely chilling in this film. How matter of fact he is, and how he's trying to manipulate them. It's we're calling the cops, everything's fine, just and it's just, but it is a disturbing film. The gore effects in here are very realistic and very unsettling in their realism. Really, it's an intense roller coaster from start to finish, because Saltner does a great job of just kind of building the suspense as the film goes. It's just slowly kind of going up the ramp of the roller coaster, right? The click, 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 and then once everything unfolds in that green room, and you're desperate to survive. And another great film where they play with your expectations. Everything you think is going to happen, it doesn't. It takes a rough turn as soon as you think it's going right, and you never know what to expect. And it's just fantastic.
Yeah, everything about it is just fun for me. I mean, it was just lean. It was taut. It was brutal with its violence, like you said. I mean, some of it is, so matter of fact, and just kind of seeing what some of this damage that can happen to a human body is just really jarring and shocking. It's like you said, it's a lightning quick as far as just how quickly it goes, and it just never stops ratcheting up that tension. I almost dropped an F-bomb, but it is a fantastic film. And Evil Captain Picard is fantastic in the role. It's definitely something you have to check out.
Yeah, it is an intense film, but listen, it's an experience. All right, it's a rough sit, how violent it is and how disturbing. So just keep that in mind when you watch this. And Matt, I want to point out too, I haven't told you what my number 1 is yet, but it's 3 of my 5 are all A24s. We talked before about how big a fan we are of the production company A24. Yeah, The Witch, Green Room, and Swiss Army Man are all A24 releases.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right then, Matt. My number 1 is The Nice Guys.
Okay.
Shane Black's latest film. He wrote and directed, starring Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. So Russell Crowe is kind of an enforcer. If you need somebody, I don't know how you want to put it, reminded of something, or if you need someone to stop harassing you, you hire Russell Crowe as the heavy, and he basically just punches you and tells you to stop, or takes care of the business. And Ryan Gosling plays a down and out kind of private detective he's a single dad, and the two of them kind of come together as an adult film star dies in a car crash, and how that relates to the police chief's daughter, and how everything kind of wraps up in this kind of classic LA political corruptness gangster type thing. It's set in the 70s, so it has that real, and they do a fantastic job of putting us in that surrounding. It's just a lot of fun. It's very entertaining. Some of the stuff maybe isn't as successful as I'd hoped it would be. But I was thinking of just the most entertaining film I saw this year that I enjoyed the most, it probably would be The Nice Guys. So and it's a film we're trying to push here too, because stuff anymore, and people aren't going to the theater to see it, which is horrible. This thing cost $50 million to make, and it made $57. So it's stuff like that I find so just disconcerting. So we want to champion this stuff. You need to go see it. Stuff too like Green Room. Green Room cost $5 million to make, Matt. It made 3.8. So if you want to see this kind of just great cinema, it's almost a throwback to that whole 70s, not just because it's in the 70s, but that 70s feel of a movie too. So that's why it's my number one. It's The Nice Guys.
Very good. So my honorable mentions that we didn't talk about. So Neon Demon Swiss Army Man, Deadpool, which came out at the very beginning of the year, was a fun kind of take on the superhero film, kind of very meta, but it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a good violent movie. And then Zootopia, which I thought was a pretty good Disney film. I don't know if it's up at their top, but it was good.
Everything I've said, it's like their best in-house animated film in a very long time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's something you should definitely check out.
So Deadpool's on my list as well. 10 Cloverfield Lane, Captain America: Civil War. I had The Lobster on here, but I was a little going back and forth on that one. Midnight Special I had, and then of course, naturally, Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Of course, naturally. God, I forgot. How did I even keep that off? The honorable mention. What's always interesting to me when we do this list every year is that as we're kind of getting into the fall and the awards season or whatever, the prestige season.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these plus our honorable mentions, they're not even going to be. Maybe one of these will be like on the list at the end of the year. For each of us.
I can tell you, I'm confident. I'm thinking most of these will be on my list.
You think so?
Swiss Army Man may go out. But I think Neon Demon, Green Room, and Nice Guys will be in my top 10.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you're doing top 10. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, where they'll be, I don't know. And then I'll tell you one thing too. If I catch up with Neon Demon again or the Green Room, it's possible the Nice Guys drops down the list a little bit too. So I hadn't seen those in so long.
Right.
So, all right, that's the list. Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Let us know what you think. What are your favorite films of the year through June 30th? Only through June 30th. Nothing from July or August.
Yep, stop right there.
Check us out. You can find us on YouTube, and we're also on Twitter, Instagram, thefirstrun.com, Facebook. Just do a search for The First Run. We'll come right up. Shoot us an email, Matt. Next week, what's it going to be? What are we talking about next week? I've already forgot. The craziest part is I have already seen the film, and I don't remember what it is. That should tell you how much I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not true. We're going to do Hell or High Water next week.
Okay. All right.
So Hell or High Water next week, and then Kindergarten Cop 2, which, okay, it's an interesting combination.
Yeah, it is. It's a murderer's row of a lineup right there.
So that's it. That's going to be next week for the big show. That's it for this show. We're going to take an extended break, and we'll see you all in a week.
Guys.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait, not yet. I keep dropping the ball. All right, Matt, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I got to do your trivia. We got to do your trivia.
Oh, okay.
We said we're going to do this every week. We did it 1 week, and then we didn't do it again. So I'm going to get back on the horse with this as I vape because I can't open the box. What is this thing? Hermetically sealed? All right, Matt, here you go. So last week. The other week, you chose horror sci-fi. And you got Poltergeist. So here's your options now. Comedy, cartoon, action, adventure, or drama musical.
Let's do action adventure.
All right. Who plays Captain John Miller in Saving Private Ryan?
That would be Tom Hanks.
That is correct. Man, these are some tough questions.
Yeah, that was brutal.
All right, that's it. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a good week, guys.
Oh, the Muppets gonna fuck Khaleesi. That's my one question, Jim Henson. Those Muppets gonna fuck Khaleesi?
Who am I talking to right now?
Do you understand the words coming out of my mouth?
Oh, it's Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker wants to know, are the Muppets gonna fuck Khaleesi?
Do you understand